Hello, I'm Ethan Wendling. I'm currently a sophomore at Purdue University, and I'm in the CEM major. In this presentation, I'm going to be talking about my 2022 summer internship experience. I was with Messer Construction this summer, and the project I was on was the new ERMCO headquarters, and it was a warehouse and office. So first, a little bit about the project. It was about a $21 million project. It was in Greenwood, Indiana, and it was roughly 160,000 square feet. So the reason that ERMCO needed this new headquarters was they needed a larger warehouse and office space for their continually growing company. And what was really cool is ERMCO actually did their own electric on this project. And so parts of it were really just a showpiece for the kind of work that they can do to show potential clients. They also included a new training space for employees, and it was really just to give them hands-on experience before they went out into the field so they could be more prepared. So some of the responsibilities that I had over summer, some weekly tasks that I completed all throughout summer. I had weekly safety inspections that were really important. I would go around the project and I would find safety issues. A really common one was rebar that didn't have caps on them, and that was something I would just fix myself. It was a pretty easy fix. However, there were things such as like railing that wasn't up to code. And so something like that, I would submit an issue and I would assign someone to fix that as soon as possible because that's a really important thing to get fixed. Along with these safety things I would also find quality issues that I might not catch if I'm got other things on my mind walking around the project. I don't know if you can see, but here and here, around these bar joists there was gaps, and this wall was supposed to be a fireproof wall. And so one day on my safety walk, I actually saw this, I took a picture, and I asked the project manager if it's supposed to be like that, and ended up the subcontractors had to come back and fix that. So these weekly safety inspections felt like really did a lot for the project. I would also submit RFIs with the project engineer as he did those here and there, and it was really cool looking ahead on the project and really solving an issue before we got to it to really keep the project moving. I also did a lot of document control. I did foreman expectations and weekly work plans. I'll talk about those a little bit more later on. I kept record of JSAs, testing and inspections, and permits, just made it easier for the project manager and engineer and not having to worry about those things. I would also schedule dumpsters and washout exchanges as needed on the project. I would update drawings, and then I also got to attend weekly meetings with the project manager and engineer. And that was really cool being a part of those, and by the end of summer, having more experience, getting to chip in here and there on those meetings. So some more specific tasks that I had over summer. I got thrown into this project at the beginning of summer, and that's right about when the concrete started. And so not having much experience yet, a lot of what I did was just going truck to truck and getting their pour tickets, making sure that they had the right concrete mix, making sure they hadn't been sitting there too long, making sure the trucks are going in and out smoothly, not getting in the way. I also started on closeout documents, which was really helping for later in the project, getting that all set up so that as documents came in, it was a lot easier to just put them where they need to be and not worrying about setting it all up in the right way. I also coordinated a mock-up for the owner, which was really cool. He wanted to see what some cabinets would look like in person, and so they put me in charge of coordinating all that, and it was really neat seeing something that I did actually help make a decision for the project, and even the owner came and saw that mock-up. So that was a really cool thing I got to do. And then I also did a quality check and kept record of wood blocking. So if you can see here, I would just mark where the wood blocking was from the finished floor and then also from the nearest walls. And so it was really cool. About a month back into school, I got a text from the project engineer, and he said like, hey, your wood blocking pictures helped out a lot because they already had drywall up and there was a change to casework. And so they were looking at some pictures, seeing if they could use the wood blocking that was already there for this change in casework. Ended up they could use it and they didn't need to tear out any drywall or make any fixes to what was already there. So some challenges that I had over summer. Like I said, at the beginning of summer was when the concrete was starting. And so very beginning of summer, I had some 3 a.m. mornings where I had to be there for concrete. And so that was a real struggle, but it really got me into the swing of things. And I also got to see some really cool things, such as like this pump truck and the large laser screed right here. And so it was a really neat experience and a challenge to be there at 3 a.m. sometimes. And then also, like I said, the foreman expectations weekly work plans. About halfway into summer, I got put in charge of those like fully by myself. And getting those completed every week was looking about a week ahead, maybe even sometimes 2 weeks ahead, and really getting used to looking ahead on the project and thinking of any possible issues that might arise, such as talking to the foreman, making sure that they're on track and they know what needs to be done by next week, making sure that no subcontractors are going to be in each other's way. And really, like, those two things I felt like kept the project moving so much smoother, working ahead and getting things solved before there's an issue actually on site. And then my greatest triumph, being able to answer on-site questions. Sounds kind of silly, but at the beginning of summer, I felt so lost on site. So many things going on that I didn't know about, and all this construction terminology that I wasn't very aware of. But near the end of the half of summer, I was able to just walk around the site, and people would come up and ask me a clarifying question, and I would pull up some documents, and I would be able to just answer right then and there and not even have to ask the project manager engineer. And so that made me feel like really good and really confident about the things that I was doing, and so that was my greatest triumph. And then some more last construction things that I got to learn over summer. I spent a couple of days surveying with the surveyor that would show up, and I was kind of the grunt work man. I was pounding in the stakes, but he also got to show me some stuff that he would do surveying, and so those were some pretty cool couple days that I got to learn some of that. The project manager, he gave me a crash course on scheduling, change order, budget, and punch lists. Like, as he did those, he would just ask me to come along, and he would just spend a couple hours showing me what he was doing so I could kind of see what that's like. And then I kind of already talked on this, but I improved my construction terminology so much. I mean, I still have a lot to learn, but just being around all that and being on site, you learn so much so quick and you don't even realize. And so that was a big thing that I learned this summer. And then finally, some life lessons that I learned over summer. Communicating clearly. Whenever I would get those weekly work plans set up, I would have to talk to these foremen and these subcontractors, and at first I wouldn't communicate as clearly as I needed to, and I even messed up a couple weekly work plans. But as I got used to even the construction terminology and got more comfortable with being on site, I learned to communicate clearly and to really understand what the other person is conveying to you. Also, paying attention to details. Like I said, the fireproof wall that I caught, it's something that I never would have noticed at the beginning of summer, but getting used to the project I was on, getting used to all these different construction things and getting more comfortable with myself on site made me realize paying attention to details is very, very important. And then finally, not being afraid to ask questions. I feel like that was the biggest struggle and the biggest life lesson that I learned over summer. At the beginning of summer, I was so nervous and so shy. I felt like I didn't know anything, and I really didn't. But asking questions and just not being afraid to put yourself out there was really important in learning and growing. And so I'm excited to see where my next summer internship takes me, and hopefully I improve on all these things. And so thank you.